Hey guys, this is James with The Grind, and today we're going to talk about some of the do's and don'ts of resumes, some of the things that I see on a day-to-day basis, and some of the things that we just kind of recommend candidates to do before we submit them if they need to. But also, if you already have a lot of this stuff done, you can just be presented as professional as possible from the get-go. So one of the first things is just kind of the general layout. And that sounds very basic, but the general layout of your resume can make a huge difference. And what I mean by that is how you have it structured. So one of the things is consistent formatting throughout. Whether it's Times New Roman, whatever font you use, keep it one of the more basic ones. Keep it consistent color all the way through. I know some people like to do some of the graphics and some of the different fonts, different colors, different boldness. The only time that I would change your font is to do maybe a bold for the company or position that you have, but everything else just try to keep it consistent and try to keep it 11 or 12 font, nothing too crazy. And then that goes all the way to like the margins as well. So don't change the margins from the standard that Word provides. And then that's going to make it just look super consistent throughout. The goal for that is just to make it as easy to read as possible for whoever's looking at it, right? You don't want them to have to squint or struggle to go through different fonts, different characters, different spacing even. Keep all the spacing consistent throughout. Sounds basic. You'd be surprised how many resumes come through that don't have that. So one of the next things, like with the formatting, would also be having all of your contact information there. There's nothing more frustrating than when you want to call a potential candidate who you think is a good fit and their phone number is not on there, or they have to find you via email. And even if it's just the email there, always have your phone number on there, because most hiring managers, an email is great, they might want to do that, but most of us, who are looking for these types of people, we just want to call you. We want to call you, talk to you, or leave a voicemail even. So make sure all of your contact information is there. I don't know if you need to put your home address, but city, state, email, phone number, and some people even will put their LinkedIn handle there. I like that because I can click it and go straight to your profile. So that's one of the other things. One of the next things that I get asked about all the time, I thought it growing up too. I don't know where we learned it from. I don't know if it was earlier on in the education, but the myth of having a one-page resume. So I agree, a one-page resume for somebody coming right out of college, you don't have a lot of experience yet, you don't want to have a lot of fluff. That might be what we were thinking about, but if you got 10, 15, even sometimes 5 years of really solid experience, and it's more of a specialized role, whether it's a sales position where you have a lot of rankings that you want to put, and we'll get into that in a minute, or if you're an engineer and you have certifications like software developer, whatever it is, don't limit yourself to one page and then cut out valuable information that could help you be seen as a potential candidate. So don't limit it to one page. Keep the font and the spacing and everything consistent. Don't try to squeeze things into a page. It's okay to go bigger than a page. It's okay. That is a myth. One page doesn't have to be that. One of the next things is going with the distance, the length of the resume would also be, the summaries below each job description. So you have your title, the company you worked for, and then right below that, I see a lot of times people will put 4, 5, 6 sentences, and it really is just like a job description of what they did. That's not necessary. I think that's a lot of fluff. Honestly, nobody reads that. What would be more helpful would be really specific about what you did. So what pieces of equipment you sold, what testing you sold, what softwares you've worked with, what you're certified in. But just I want a 1 to 2 sentence, a summary of what you've done at that role. More important than that is the bullet points. So this is kind of where we get into the meat of your resume and what you actually can do. I just like to see really concise bullet points, and so if you have your job title, the company, and then below it you just have a long paragraph of what you've done, even if it is good content, it's not easy for me to read. So have bullet points, and what you put on those bullet points, that's where you really get seen. A lot of hiring managers I know don't even look at anything until they boom, 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 bullet points. So For example, salespeople, obviously this is where you do achievements, you would do awards, you would do rankings, percent of quota, and that's kind of the easy job to do that with. With engineers, you would do projects. With developers, again, another good place to put certifications and ways that you've helped. But this goes back to what I mentioned in my first video. Every position of every job is there designed to add or save value for the company. And I'm going to harp on this for pretty much every video, but adding or saving value to the company, whether it's money that you've saved, a project or processes that you've made more efficient, or money that you've made the company, ideas that you've come up with that have saved. And you can be really creative with how you word that so that it looks really impactful. But the bullet points, we can, this is a good chance for you to just reach out to me if you want to know, like, specifically for what you're doing, what to put there. But this is where the meat of it is. This is what most people look at first and last. So you want to show how you've added or saved value for the company. One of the other things that's important with going with your specific jobs would be the dates on the end. So don't just put one date, because I don't know if that means when you started, when you left. Don't just put years. I need to see a month and a year, and I need to see the month that you started and the year you started to the month and year that you ended. And some people may not want to do that. They might be trying to cover up a couple of short stints, but we're going to get to that. Any hiring manager or recruiter is going to know. So the best way to do this is just to be upfront and honest. It's okay if you've had a short stint or two, if we can explain it, if we can talk about it. One thing that I like sometimes, if you're comfortable with this, is at the bottom of each one, you can tell why you moved on. So those are a few of the things. One of the next things is I like to see a little bit of work ethic. So there's you don't want to get too personal on your resume. I typically like name, contact information, a little bit about why your goal is in the next little piece. Your experience, your education should be on there, formatted appropriately with your degrees, GPA's great. So we have all the basic needs that most people do. But one thing that I like to see is tell me how you're different from the other candidates. And this doesn't have to be in a long format, but just really brief sentences at the bottom. You could call it skills, you could call it extracurricular, but whatever you put on there. If you worked a job through college, that shows great work ethic. If you were on any athletic teams, if you served on any boards or volunteered anywhere, but if you can show a way that you've kind of separated yourself on a personal note, or a way that it would make you a more effective leader in your position, anything that can promote your work ethic and show how you've worked hard and how you've done things above and beyond, I like to see that on a resume as well. And I know if the one-page myth is what you're going off of, you probably don't have that. So throw that out the window and show me how you're different. One thing is an overarching theme. One thing that you just want to keep in mind when you're constructing your resume is just, I want to be able to look at your resume and know day to day what you've done, what you do, and I want to know how you've done it. I want to see where you've added value or saved value. I want to be able to get in touch with you, and I want to be able to know a little bit about you. And if you can cover those bases, I know this can get really complicated, but if you just leave it to that, that's what I need to see on the resume. So I would love to talk with you guys more about that. If you want to reach out to me, I can get a little more specific with actual things. And there's all kinds of services out there where you can pay for somebody to do your resume. And that may be something you want to do, but honestly, anybody can do this with a simple template from Word and just a little bit of advice and push in the right direction. And the last thing I'll leave you with is resumes. Nobody's ever been hired off of a resume. Nobody has ever submitted their resume and the hiring manager says, wow, this is insane. I want to hire this person right now. We don't need to interview. Never happened. What happens all the time is they get your resume and they cut you from the process. Nope, they're not a fit. Nope, they're not a fit. So resumes, obviously using common sense here to put it together, they're only used to eliminate people. They're not used to hire people. That's where how you present yourself in person, how you attack a position, how you pursue a role, that's very important. If you have a recruiter, it's how the recruiter can handle you. So you want to talk to the recruiter about how they plan to present you. I present the person. I don't present just the resume. I don't sling resumes at my clients. I tell them why I think they're a fit, and I explain what's not on the resume and why that's important. So you want to make sure that your resume is presentable enough to where you're not going to get eliminated from a process. But at the end of the day, when you're pursuing jobs, you got to promote yourself more than just on a piece of paper, which obviously we're going to talk more about. So anyway, that's just some of the do's and don'ts that I see. Feel free to reach out to me anytime via email, phone. I've got my links and stuff below. Figuring that out as I go. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all of that fun things, fun stuff, and we'll just see what happens. But should be starting an Instagram pretty soon where I'll share clips of this. And if you guys have anything you want me to cover or anything that you like, dislike, just reach out. So that is it for today, and we'll see you, I guess, next week, maybe a little bit sooner. But have a great rest of your week, and let me know if you need anything, guys. Thanks again.